5-minute warning, with the St. Louis Rams still ahead by 6, and they have the ball, but for all their dominance, they don't have Super Bowl 34 in their grasp quite yet. This Tennessee defense is playing it real tough. It's left, first half. Second down. Warner with a deep drop this time, and looking and sidearms it again. He's got a wide open receiver, Jackie Harris, or rather Torrey Holt, excuse me.
It looks like it's enough for a first down too, Nick. That was a 2nd and 17, and Kurt Warner, I think, got 18 yards on the play. Great touch and ability to find the open receiver after he scrambled and the play broke down. Torrey Holt's having a big day here this evening.
Both number 88s are, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're really the only guys getting open. Holt for St. Louis and Jackie Harris for Tennessee.
Of course, Paul Justin, a former NFL Europe player, the backup quarterback here in St. Louis. Well, that league has really benefited quarterbacks, hasn't it, Nick?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place, but in other positions as well. I mean, you know, you look at the success of people like Kurt Warner and John Kitna, and you know, you realize it's just going to get bigger.
Yep.
You know, these teams understand how valuable it is for them.
You know, it's all about playing, Nick. You got to get that opportunity to play. If they don't get you on the field and let you feel what it's like to compete and to learn and to take what you learn on the practice field to the games, you can't play well in games, and that's what that league has done for these guys.
Georgia Frontier looking on first down. They dropped 7 defensive backs, the Tennessee Titans. Holt, by the way, 5 catches for 94 yards so far. Prohl is the motion man. Warner looks to bomb it again, and it's incomplete. Looking in the direction of Ricky Prohl.
He tried really hard to get that ball in there. Ricky Prohl he's been a real pro around this league. Nick, this is his 10th year in the league, and 7 different years in this league, he's caught 50 or more passes. He's playing on a couple different teams, but he's a dependable guy. Won the game for him last year with that last week with that 30-yard touchdown pass, the only touchdown of that game.
Well, they call him a third down specialist, but he's always a guy who delivers, as you say, Brian, and you don't hang around 10 years in this league without having something to offer. So Bruce, Prohl, Hakeem, and Holt from left to right are the receivers, and they're looking for Bruce, and a great catch. Damon Sidney with the stop, but a 13-yard pickup and a first down. The clock continuing to run, but the Rams threatening.
Kurt Warner's going to have close to 300 yards passing in the first half, yet they only have 6 points.
It's incredible. It really is incredible, but Warner wants to do something about that, I'm sure. Getting good protection again, and he has a man again. And again, it's just a ball that can't be caught by anybody else except us, Hakeem, on that occasion. And you can't blame the defensive back who was Samari rolled there. There's just no shot at that pass.
And Nick, you know, that was the Rams' identity right there. He could have gone short that time underneath, but he went deep. You see, Ricky Prohl underneath was wide open, but Oz Hakeem, and that's the speed of these Rams receivers. And right now, Kurt Warner, close to 300 yards passing, has been such the difference tonight as he has been all season.
I'll tell you something, Brian. Warner is really starting to find a groove here.
5 wide receivers here, Nick.
On first down from the 21, the pump fake, and now he goes down and manages to hang on to the ball. Big Kenny Holmes was there, and there is a flag. Holmes has had a pretty solid first half on the other defensive end position, and a hold, though, against Tennessee. That is a sickener for Jeff Fisher.
Well, what that does, Nick, is it nullifies the sack, and it gives the Rams an automatic first down.
That's Donald Mitchell.
That's that 7th defensive back.
Kurt Warner's already in the record books, 31 passes in this first half alone. That's a Super Bowl record. We said he was going to assault the record books.
Well, he's done it all season long. You know, in that first game, Kurt Warner had fumbled 2 times in that game that led to Tennessee Titan points. Tonight, he's holding on to that ball when he gets hit.
First and 10. Warner will throw again. He looks in the direction of the end zone for the Ricky Prohl, but Anthony Dorsett was there, and Prohl had no shot at that. Second down and 10 with a minute and a second left in the first half.
The one guy that you want at this time of the game in this position is your tight end, but the Rams really prefer to go 5 wide receivers and use more speed to beat a defense.
Brian, you just feel, I know there's still a minute left in the first half, this is a crucial stand Tom Newton being called for holding, and that just goes to add to what I'm going to say now, that Tennessee need to limit this to 3 points. If they go in 13 points adrift, it's tough to see them coming back.
Well, they're not a real explosive offense where they can generate a lot of big plays to make up ground in a hurry. And that's what the Rams could put them in a position to do. Take them out of that game plan of what they like to do, nickel and diming you.
Because they've had no offensive plays worth speaking of, barring that screen pass to Eddie George. So 1st and 20. Warner will look to throw again. That one's tipped. And a great effort made by Torrey Holt. What a first half he's having. Dane and Sidney on the coverage.
You know, Torrey Holt, he was questionable coming into today because of bad ribs that he had injured last week in that victory against Tampa Bay.
A 6-yard pickup to the 20-yard line. Clock still continues to tick. Warner dropping. A lot of protection again for Warner. And he's going to take off and look for the end zone with Javon Curse right behind him, and a flag comes in.
Looks like maybe a face mask, Nick. Might have grabbed Kurt Warner's face mask as he's grabbed him.
Well, the freak showed his athleticism, but made a rookie mistake.
He was just trying to grab Kurt Warner for the first time today.
Well, that flag came in instantly. Let's see if we can take another look.
Well, it's going to be an automatic first down again for the Rams, but the man they call the freak, look at his speed here.
And he did.
He had
the left hand just sneak round.
Yeah, just a hustle mistake there. Boy, almost took Kurt Warner's head off, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Dangerous play. I mean, really, I've seen people, you know, really injure their necks just like that.
And you've got to put 15 on that. There's no question about it.
Well, in this case, just half the distance to the goal here, Nick. So 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line.
Jeff Fisher looking on anxiously. 32 seconds left in the first half. Warner from the 10-yard line has to unload it. Great diving effort made by Az Hakim, but it's incomplete, and the pressure right up the middle.
Well, the Rams went to 5 wide receivers that time, and Tennessee blitzed 2 defensive backs, one being Anthony Dorsett there. Dorsett came free right there, all alone, rushing that pass of Kurt Warner.
Well, they say the one big attribute that he has is his speed, Anthony Dorsett, and he certainly showed it there.
Well, his daddy had the speed, and sometimes when your daddy can run like that all the way to the Hall of Fame, your son does as well.
2nd down and goal. Can Tennessee hold them to 3 points again?
Expect more blitz here, Nick.
The pressure's on, and they get to Warner just as he unloads, and it's incomplete. And the pressure from the backside forced the incompletion. Kenny Holmes. We've called his number a lot tonight, Brian.
Kenny Holmes having a good day working against Orlando Pace, the all-pro left tackle of the St. Louis Rams. Kurt Warner needs a split second more time. You're going to see Kenny Holmes working against Orlando Pace here. Gets rid of the big 330-pound man, and you can't complete a pass when you're on the ground.
Third down and 10. And St. Louis take a timeout to think about this.
And Nick, it seems like they've been in this corner of the end zone most of the day, but yet we look up at the scoreboard, it's only 6-0.
Yeah. And a pivotal play here, I think.
Extreme.
In Super Bowl 34. Tennessee hold them again. 9 points is catchable. There's no cause for panic. If they go in, well, you wonder if St. Louis would just start to run away from it. And bearing in mind how well in the second halves of games that Tennessee have played throughout the playoffs.
Well, you know, Tennessee right now, it's what they call the rubber band defense. They have stretched and been stretched by this Ram offense, but yet they haven't broke yet. And really it comes down to this play. This key 3rd down play right before the end of the first half here, going to go a long way in determining how the second half is played.
They're 3 for 7 on 3rd down, the St. Louis Rams.
Kurt Warner, 41 touchdown passes in the regular season, 5 against Minnesota in a playoff game, 1 to win the game last week, and he would love to have one right here.
3rd down and 10. 24 seconds left, first half. Warner dropping, throwing. He's looking for Ricky Prohl, who can't bring it in.
He had a step on Mitchell that time, Nick. Kurt could not just drop that ball in a bucket to keep Ricky Prohl in bounds. Great defensive play again by this secondary of the Titans. And Jeff Fisher, you know, right there, a big sigh of relief as he really escaped a dangerous situation.
And it means for the 5th time tonight, we see Jeff Wilkins. He's made 2, missed 1, and another one never even took off. And that one does. And St. Louis now have a 9-point lead with 15 seconds remaining in the first half. A 28-yard kick for Wilkins.
Take a look at this throw to Ricky Prohl. Nice job by Marshall Faulk picking up the blitz. This has to be a perfect throw. Ricky Prohl was going to the corner, and I think Kurt Warner was throwing it more straight that time, and Kurt's upset with himself because he's made those throws this
Would
year.
you believe this? 5 trips to the end zone for Dick Vermeil's Rams, 9 points.
And you know, I don't know how many times that comes back to haunt you, and clearly that headset on Dick's head kind of says it all. They're just a little bit off right now. Marshall Faulk, nice job picking up the blitz that time, sacrificing his skills to protect that man. Marshall Faulk not that big a part of the offense in that first half.
Derek Mason is the deep man. I wonder if we'll see any trickery here from the Tennessee Titans.
I would not kick it to Derek Mason.
No. Lorenzo Neal is there to block for him. And Wilkins, well, they do kick to Mason, and he's a very good kick as well. There's no chance of a return.
That was the best kicker in the NFL this year, Nick. He had 35 of his kickoffs went into the end zone, most of any kicker in the league.
So what do you do here, Brian, with 15 seconds left? You just, as we see the quarterback numbers that really, frankly, bear no comparison at all, do you just go for broke and put a couple uptown to see what you can get, or do you just take a knee and get the hell out of there and regroup?
You know what, Nick? If it's a Super Bowl and you've come this far and you're down 9-0 and you haven't generated a big play yet, whether you score off it or not, I say you rear back, you let Steve McNair use that powerful arm of his and take a shot down the field, but they're not going to do it. They're going to take a knee. And I don't like the approach. I'd say take a shot. They're going to get the heck out of there, Nick, and go talk about things.
And they've got a lot to talk about, especially on the offensive side of the ball. St. Louis dominating in terms of yardage. Their defense has dominated Tennessee's offense. But the net result, surprisingly, is that this game is still wide open and very much still in the air. The St. Louis Rams, 5 trips to the field, to the red zone, 3 field goals out of it. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Tennessee defensively. They've held firm when they've had to.
Of course, Aldo Greco missed a field goal for Tennessee also in that first half.
He did indeed. We'll be back with the halftime show in just a couple of moments.
On first down and then convert on third down.
As for the Rams, I mean, is there an element of frustration creeping in there that you know, they've had all these opportunities and they've got 9 points? I mean, it is un-Ram-like football. It's actually reminiscent of what happened last week against Tampa Bay.
Well, if you combine last week's game with the first 2 quarters today, Nick, that's 6 quarters of football. This team has scored 20 points. Now, that's practically nothing the way this team scored the most amount of points in the NFL this year. So they have to feel pretty frustrated because the opportunities are there. They haven't executed them.
Well, it'll be the Tennessee Titans that I believe will get their hands on the ball first. And it's something we talked about, I know, Brian, and it's not really come up as a factor yet. Big plays on special teams in terms of returns. I mean, you know, we're obviously not talking about the kicks and those missed opportunities. You still wait for somebody to break one. Mason's definitely got the potential as well. And obviously Tony Horn for St. Louis, you know, he can do things, as we see Eddie George come out. You know, maybe that spark's going to come from specials.
That's always a spark, but you got to give the Rams credit now. They haven't punted yet today, so nothing from the punt return. And then Jeff Wilkins has been very good on kickoffs, putting the ball pretty deep into the end zone. But, you know, look, if you're the Titans right now, you're holding the Rams after that over 300 yards of offense in the first half to just 9 points and 3 field goals. You have to feel pretty good about where you're at.
It really is a battle of psychology, isn't it, for Jeff Fisher? Because the offense will be coming in saying, oh, geez, we couldn't do a thing in that first half, whereas the defense is saying, hey, we held them to 9 points. And, you know, you've got to try and get that through to the offensive line and through to Eddie George and through to Steve McNair.
Well, one thing this Tennessee Titans team has done all year, Nick, is, you know, they had the most amount of fumble recoveries in the league this year. They created 39 turnovers. They have been able to create turnovers and then capitalize on those turnovers. So going after the football, taking a few more chances. You've seen some great defensive back play. The other thing, Nick, is we've seen the ball tipped by Kurt Warner now. That ball has been up in the air. That's a loose ball. That's anybody's ball. You got to come down with 1 or 2 of those in the second half and maybe be a spark.
Well, you say, you know, Brian, you talk about gambling a little bit more. You gamble against this Rams offense and those speedy receivers. You could be in trouble. It really is finding that fine line between being aggressive and making a big mistake. But the difference is just 9 points as the second half gets underway, and Jeff Wilkins with another good deep kick, and Derek Mason fields that a yard inside his end zone, and will look to turn the corner. And is this the spark? No, he's down at the 26-yard line. Leonard Little was there to make the stop.
Well, one thing we know about Steve McNair throughout this year, this guy has overcome a lot of adversity, Nick. He had a back operation early in the season. He came back 5 weeks later. He's been suffering from turf toe for the last month now. He battles through that every single week. And
as we look at the numbers, I mean, Kirk, it's absolute dominance, isn't it, for the St. Louis Rams, with Kurt Warner doing most of the damage.
Well, you know, those first downs, 18 first downs for the Rams, 13 came through the air. They're moving the ball in the air. Right now, Tennessee struggling on offense in all areas.
A 2 tight end set for Steve McNair, who's audibling.
Yeah, changing the play on the first play of the third quarter.
So what can Tennessee do here offensively? George fires, has his man Frank Wycheck, who was almost anonymous in the first half, picks up the first down, 12 yards, and Wycheck has got to get involved just like that.
Well, Nick, you know, you talk about adjustments. That was the first adjustment they just made. Frank Wycheck, his favorite receiver, caught his first pass of the game. Shut out in the first half, so there they went. They went off a play-action fake, and they find Frank Wycheck, a Pro Bowl tight end, right in the middle. So you see the adjustments already being made.
First down at the 41-yard line. Eddie George is in the backfield. Motion from Jackie Harris. They give to George, who's trying to work behind that block of Harris, and he'll spin his way for 3 yards before he's tackled. London Fletcher was there in the mix of things. That'll bring up second down. Depending on where they spot it, it should be around 7.
Well, Eddie George, only 7 carries in the first half. They didn't have the ball very much, only 18 yards. Certainly they need a big second half from Eddie George if they want to, you know, chew up this lead, get back in the lead, and win this football game.
Dyson and Bird are the wideouts. Jackie Harris is the slot receiver. He had 3 of George's 5 catches in the first half. And they'll look in the direction of Harris again, and Harris works behind the tackle and picks up the first down. Mike Jones was the man assigned, but an 8-yard gain and a first down for Tennessee.
Well, the tight ends are a big part of this offense, and both receptions the tight ends early in the second half have come off play-action fakes to Eddie George. And you see good time for Steve McNair, who throws a good ball. Mike Jones, a former NFL Europe player, in coverage on Jackie Harris, leading receiver for Tennessee today.
He's having a career night, Jackie. A much-traveled tight end, spent some time in Tampa and Green Bay.
10th year in the league.
So a couple of first downs on this drive for Tennessee. And they're into Ram territory. Now they'll go to work with Eddie George, and George will look to turn the corner, gets past Todd Collins, and gets past another man, and is pushed out of bounds after a pickup of 13 yards. First down.
And boy,
Dexter McCleon pushed him out of bounds. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, didn't he just look excited like he was shot out of a cannon? It's the first time that he's seen big daylight here today.
And the speed he showed against Todd Collins, he just left him for dead.
Well, he was just frustrated here. But he gets the corners. They get Grant Wistrom, the defensive end, inside, and this is the vision of Eddie George. Now look at him, turns the corner on Billy Jenkins. Best run of the night for the Tennessee Titans.
And they're at the 35-yard line. McNair with the inside handoff. Just a couple for Eddie George.
This looks like the Tennessee Titan offense that have gotten them this far this year, Nick. You know, remember, this Jeff Fisher team has won 6 games this year against teams that had 11 or more wins, one of them being the St. Louis Rams. I mean, they have played very good, probably the best football against the best teams. And you see the focus and concentration of Jeff Fisher. I think his whole team has that.
Second down and 8. They really need points on this drive. McNair with the flare pass to Eddie George, who is pushed out by Todd Collins with some help from you-know-who, London Fletcher. He flies around the field, this Fletcher.
.com right there. He's online right now, Nick. He's only 5'9". He's a former college basketball player. He loves to play this game. He's only 5'9". He's a former college basketball player. He loves to play this game. And here, dump it off to Eddie George, get the ball to him in the open field, let him run over somebody, make somebody miss. Certainly we're seeing some change in strategy here early in his third quarter from the Titans.
It's been an impressive drive to the 29-yard line. Again, motion from the shotgun on
Eddie
third
George
down. They find out George just dropped it. He seemed to look up and just lost the ball, and that is really frustrating.
Great
if you're
coverage.
a Tennessee fan.
Great coverage by London Fletcher. He was right there if Eddie George caught it.
Well, Al Del Greco has trotted onto the field.
Watch Eddie George in motion here. This is designed to get him the ball on the run in the open field. Todd Light right there, London Fletcher. This looks like it's going to be about a 43-yarder, Nick.
In fact, from where they're going to snap it, that'll be 47-yard kick for Del Greco, who missed from 46 in the first quarter. They need this, and it's blocked. They came after it and got it. Todd Light with the block, and recovered as well by DeMarco Farr. Light came out of that like a bullet out of a gun.
Well, let me tell you, Nick, it's been special teams by the Rams today. Billy Jenkins blocked the punt. Todd Light came clean. The Pro Bowl cornerback and the oldest Ram on this team, an original Los Angeles Ram, came to St. Louis, comes off the right corner here. Just a total breakdown on the protection of the Titans.
Skysports with NASDAQ.
Keep scrapping, keep playing football.
But it plays on your mind, Kevin, doesn't it? It's just one of those things that sits there and grows as a bigger and bigger question mark as the game goes on, and Marshall Faulk will try and punish him and just blast his way straight up the middle. A change at cornerback for Tennessee now. Denard Walker out of the lineup, and coming in, Danon Sidney, number 37. As we look at Frank Gantz, the outstanding special teams coach of the St. Louis Rams, his group came up with yet another play there.
Well, Frank Gantz used to be the former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Been around the game a long time. His son is the special teams coach with the Oakland Raiders. They designed that block and it was executed perfectly.
Second down and 6, and Faulk won't get much there. In fact, we'll probably lose a yard.
That's Javon Curse at the bottom of that pile. Curse, who came on at the end of that first half, got a sack and, you know, had the roughing the quarterback call on the face mask. But this is a key third down right here. You know, Tennessee, you get the field goal block, Nick. There's a real letdown after that happens. But if the defense can go on the field and shut down the offense and get the ball back, it's like you escaped some thunder.
That's exactly what Kevin Greene was saying just a few moments ago. You've got to keep it together. You've got to regroup. 6 defensive backs in on third down. They're 3 of 8, the Rams. They've not been too successful after the first drive, and Warner will feel the pressure, and he dumps it off, and he gets a man. Ooh. And Torrey Holt gets absolutely flattened by Donald Mitchell with some help
from Anthony Dorsett. He finished him, but not after the Rams picked up enough for the first down. Kurt Warner did a great job of stepping up in the pocket, eluding the outside rush here, and finding his favorite receiver. Marshall Faulk caught that at the end of his hands by his pinkies that time. Great fingertip control holding on to that football.
It's a first down, an 8-yard completion. And the Rams continue to roll here in Georgia. Good protection, give Warner time, he'll find a man, beautiful. And there he does it again. Isaac Bruce was wide open. You cannot give Warner that much time.
Boy, that was inside a zone defense that time, meaning they threw it to an area. Isaac Bruce found the opening in the zone, and Kurt Warner was perfect. Kurt Warner now over 300 yards passing on the day.
He's assaulting these Super Bowl records, these passing records. So we take another look at that pass to Bruce.
See, they start off with Joe Bowden, the linebacker on him. Now he just runs free down the field in that zone. That's Anthony Dorsett coming into your picture.
First down at the 27. Warner again with a lot of time.
Got him.
And again finds a man. This time it's Ernie Conwell, who missed almost the whole season, and Blaine Bishop is out cold on the field.
I hope he starts moving. He's breathing, but he's not moving. It's dangerous. That is their leader back there in the secondary.
Blaine Bishop has not moved a muscle.
No, that's scary. Blaine Bishop and his walk-on.
Oh,
oof.
That's as bad as it gets, that is. The news is going to be good. Pointless speculating up here, of course, but
well, they got him on the stretcher. He was moving his legs, Nick, which means there is no paralysis. That's what you always, that's your first concern. But when these two teams get back, Nick, the Rams are right now capitalizing on a blocked field goal. They've just taken the ball down the field. They have a first down in an area of the field where they've really had a lot of difficulty the last two. Nick, I always thought any game is dangerous when you have ambulances at either end of the field.
Yeah.
In preparation, waiting for these kind of things that happen from time to time in a very physical game.
And it happens rarely, thank goodness, but when it does cast a shadow. And they're taking that ambulance very slowly as well.
Well, you do not take any chances here.
Nope.
At this point, Nick. I mean, you take all the caution you need at this point. The fans are all on their feet right now, standing ovation for Blaine Bishop. They know the severity of something like this. They're giving him a round of applause, and good show of sportsmanship here at the Super Bowl. And Nick, I've seen this. You know, you hate to say this, but you've seen this in games and situations where teams use this as a rallying cry.
Because it really becomes win it for Blaine, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And there's Perry Phoenix, who we were talking about, who checks in. Second-year man out of Southern Mississippi. Had a very good season as a special teamer, led the team in special teams tackles, but he's got to fill some big shoes now. First and goal for the St. Louis Rams, and Warner with time. That one's batted down. The play came from Javon Curse.
And how many batted passes have we seen now for Kurt Warner today? That's probably the fourth or fifth pass that has been batted down. And Javon Curse right now, you know, he wants to make a play. He could be a difference maker in any game he plays.
And you wonder when one of those balls is going to stick somewhere, because these things, as you say, Brian, they can go anywhere.
Yeah, that ball gets, you know, the first play of the game last week against Tampa Bay was intercepted on a tip ball much like that.
Second down and goal. Robinson, the motion man. The pitch back is to Falk, and they read it and stuff it. The first man there was Jason Fisk. Josh Evans was there as well. The two defensive tackles combining. That's going to bring up third and goal.
Two great plays in a row by this Tennessee defense, and they look very inspired after the stoppage of play. There it is. I mean, the first team in Super Bowl history not to score a TD on 5 straight drives into the red zone.
That's an astonishing stat. And here they are in the red zone again.
Mike
Martz looking on. Dick Vermeil looking on. Third down and goal.
New formation here, Nick. Down at the bottom of the screen, what you call a bunch formation. Very difficult to cover.
The pressure comes, but he's got it. Touchdown, Torrey Holt. That's been the go-to guy throughout this ball game, and he went there again.
Well, they put 3 receivers on the right side. They put Torrey Holt one-on-one on the left side, and he simply beat the coverage of Donald Mitchell. Beautiful throw by Kurt Warner. Torrey Holt got that one between his face mask, his hand, and the extra point is good.
And Jeff Wilkins has made it 16-0 with that kick. 7:20 to go in the third quarter. And the Rams have genuine daylight between themselves and the Titans now.
NFL coverage.
They just need to keep fighting and things will happen positive.
And the Titans really need points on this drive. A 16-point deficit now. And that big zero has sat there and stared at them all night long. Mason will take the kick at his goal line. Lorenzo Neal ahead of him, throws the block, and Mason is sprung and then is brought down at the 33-yard line. Crunching block from Neal, but the coverage after that was solid, and Steve McNair has another long field to work with.
Long field, a lot of pressure on. Here it is, the coverage on Dane and Sidney. Torrey Holt beat him right away. On that first initial move, that's how he got the touchdown pass. He beat him right off the blocks. Sidney never got his hands on him, and Kurt Warner first touchdown pass in his first Super Bowl.
See the relief on that sideline. They finally got a touchdown after they've been banging on the door all game. Now, how can Tennessee respond? George is in the backfield. It's George that gets the ball, and he'll get maybe 4. That'll bring up 2nd down and 6.
Well, Nick, you know, Kevin Greene will tell you it's a heck of a lot easier to play defense and to be inspired and aggressive when you're up 16-0. And Les Steckel, the offensive coordinator for this Tennessee Titan team right now, trying to design a play and call one that can make a big play and get on the board in a hurry. Tighten this game back up.
The 3 tight end set again for Tennessee with lots of shifting. George again trying to work behind those blockers and stays on his feet and fights for extra yardage, and from where he's been down they'll give him a 1st down. Great second effort from Eddie George. They'll move the chains.
Most running backs, Nick, make most of the yards in the second half of a game. No difference for Eddie George. Even though down 16-0, they can't panic. They still got time here. They need to get on the board on this drive. They can't stall. They have to continue to execute it all the way down the field.
Eddie George over 50 yards rushing now. The Rams haven't given up a 100-yard rushing game in 18 games. Play action. McNair finds a wide open Frank Wycheck, but it was read all the way by Billy Jenkins, who went for a pony ride there as Wycheck fought for extra yardage. Great one-on-one job by Jenkins, who's outweighed massively by the big tight end.
Well, Wycheck making his a trip to the Pro Bowl this year. A little pick play, getting himself open, and Billy Jenkins looks like he was in the rodeo there. Little calf rope trying to bring down, you know, the big stud bull.
Second down and 7. Tennessee at the 49-yard line of the Rams. The inside handoff again to Eddie George, who is stuffed. Todd Collins was there. So too was Billy Jenkins, Ray Agnew. And there's Jeff Fisher's wife watching anxiously in the crowd.
What this running does, and what, you know, Tennessee has been able to do all year, is when you run Eddie George, and then you can fake it to Eddie, and then you can throw it to your tight end, your wide receivers. And right now, they're trying to get the Rams to focus on Eddie George, setting him up for that fake to him, and then throw it down the field.
But this is where they're missing Yancey Thigpen, the deep threat. Tennessee 1 of 6 on 3rd down conversions. They need this one. And the pass is complete to Big Frank, who works Todd Light this time and gets enough additional yardage to move the chains again. And Wycheck has been the money guy for this franchise for 4 straight years. It stands to reason that when you need something, you're going to go looking for him.
Yeah, but you know, right now the Rams are just giving him a little piece at a time, and that clock in the right-hand corner there continues to tick. They're not giving him any big plays, and give the Rams credit right now. Very good tackling in the open field,
which has been a trademark of theirs throughout this season. The ball at the 40-yard line. Eddie George is stuffed. He was just hammered after a gain of a yard. I think it may have been London Fletcher that wrapped him up.
Neil
That's going to bring up 2nd and long. Sorry, Brian.
Oh, that's Neil O'Donnell right there. He filled in for Steve McNair when McNair was out with a back injury. He was a very good replacement, a man that has been in the Super Bowl, was the quarterback of that Pittsburgh Steelers team with Kevin Greene on it. He's a much better thrower than Steve McNair, and if you get behind enough points, maybe Neil O'Donnell is the guy you bring in to rescue your team.
I tell you, it's going to be a rescue act soon if the Tennessee Titans don't put something on the board. 3:15 left in this third quarter, and they're still looking. McNair has a lot of time, and he has a man. Frank Wycheck has had 4 catches in this second half after none in the first half, and 3 of them have come on this drive.
Well, I'll tell you what has been set up for Steve McNair is the bootleg, where you fake it to Eddie George and you do that turnaround in the backfield, Nick, and you run away from the defense. I've been watching right now the ends, and they're giving him that position. And
they just plunge for short yardage on second down, and meanwhile all kinds of stuff going on down on the field. John Lehman, that is, getting into it.
Well, there's some frustration on Tennessee right now, and that's Frank Wycheck, who needs to be away from that. They can't afford to get his team a personal foul penalty.
Mike Jones in the mix as well, and Dick Vermeil and Jeff Fisher, I'm sure, are saying, hey, guys, play football.
Well, he went for the quarterback sneak here to get the first down, and I believe that Steve McNair got enough for it.
And they're moving the chains. First down, Tennessee.
But I like Tennessee right there. They're trying to protect their quarterback. Mike Jones, he's just going for the football.
To the 29-yard line. Jackie Harris goes in motion. They give to Eddie George. Eddie George looks for the hole and can't find it. London Fletcher was in there with help. And he'll plunge forward for 4 more tough yards.
But you get the feeling right now that the whole Ram team is looking at Eddie George, trying to shut him down. That's their concentration. Peter Junta right there, the defensive coordinator, trying to shut things down. Look at that. No touchdowns allowed in the last 6 quarters of playoff football.
The last game, of course, was against Tampa Bay, whose offense was not their strength. Whereas this Tennessee offense is considerably better.
There it is.
Play action. And McNair will take off. There's a lane. There's a lane. Can McNair get in? He's at the 5. And down at the 3-yard line. Dexter McCleon came over.
It's been set up, Nick. We've been talking about it on this drive. They took the focus off Eddie George. Steve McNair did that bootleg fake right there and became the best running back on the field on that run.
For 22 yards.
First time he's been able to get loose today. And give Jeff Fisher credit. There has been no panic on his team right here. They're staying with the offense that got him this far. Watch him pull this ball down. Now look at the running back he becomes.
First and goal at the 3. The give is to Eddie George, who is stopped by Billy Jenkins and London Fletcher. Second and goal at the 1-yard line. The last few seconds of this third quarter. Can Tennessee bring this game back alive?
That's Bud Adams there, the original owner of the Houston Oilers, now the Tennessee Titans.
Lorenzo Neal. Lorenzo Neal, the big blocking back, has checked in. And a timeout has been called by Steve McNair with the play clock running down. You certainly don't want to pick up a 5-yard penalty here.
No, you don't want the 5-yard penalty, but yet you want to be able to run your offense in a goal line situation, Nick.
So while Tennessee talk things over, we're going to take a short break. Be back in just a moment.
Sponsored by NASDAQ.
Is in the backfield with Neal there to block. They give to George, and George is in, but there's a flag. It's a touchdown for Tennessee if it stands up. And it's good. Steve McNair is celebrating. That's going against the defense.
That's declined.
And we have ourselves a ball game here at Super Bowl 34. And now, after the problems the kicking game has had, do they go for 2? It looks very much that way.
Yeah, in fact, Steve McNair out there, quarterback right now, wants to make this maybe just a 1 more possession game, like Kevin Greene astutely said in the studio. Right here, the theory is you go for 2, Nick. If you get it, then all you need is a touchdown and another 2-point conversion, and you tie. If you miss it here, you're still going to need 2 scores.
Yeah, but you're still in good shape. This is a good time to go for it.
Yep. Not a high percentage play in the NFL.
They're looking at it. Oh, no, it's incomplete. They had a man wide open, Frank Wycheck, but the ball just eluded him. I don't think Wycheck could have pulled that one in.
Now he had to turn his body all the way around, and all he got was 1 mid on the ball.
But he was open, Brian.
He was wide open. And that's where the accuracy of a quarterback comes in. McNair, plenty of time to throw this ball. Nobody was in his face. That should have been 2 points. And this is just pitch and catch right here, Nick.
Nothing Wycheck could have done about that.
No. Lorenzo Styles, coming from the middle linebacker position, though, was going right for the ribs here.
Yeah, but before we're too harsh on McNair, it was McNair that provided the spark there with that mazy run that took him inside the 5. I mean, you just got the sense, didn't you, Brian, when St. Louis went 16 points up, that if Tennessee had bombed out offensively again, we could pretty well close this one up and move on to next season. But now we got ourselves a ball game again.
Well, Nick, if you remember, you know, in that first playoff game against Buffalo, they were down and out for the count in that game, and they found a way to make a play, and that's really been the personality of this Titans team. They don't quit.
Oh, they're lining up for the onside kick. And it's a squiver that goes to the 25-yard line for Tony Horn to field. That was a very interesting formation, but in the end, it was just a routine return for Horn and pretty decent field position for the Rams. That was neither one thing nor the other.
I don't like the call by Alan Lowry, the special teams coach. Here's the 2-point convert, or here's the touchdown run right here. It was a walk. Lorenzo Neal, number 41, led him into the end zone. Capitalizing a very efficient drive and a typical Tennessee Titan drive. Nothing too pretty, kind of nickel and diming you. First touchdown that they've led up in over 6 quarters. But the Rams with excellent field position. I didn't like the fake onside kick and then the pooch because the Rams with good field position.
Yeah, it was neither one thing nor the other, and it's given the Rams and Kurt Warner in particular, who looked on fire on that last drive, pretty good position there. And Marshall Faulk is single-handedly tackled there, a tackle that had to be made as well by Perry Phoenix, the backup for Blaine Bishop, and that is the end of the 3rd quarter. It's a 10-point lead for the Rams over the Titans.
Hi, y'all. I'm million-selling country celebrity Tennessee. Those nice folks at Sky One have given me my own show, so I'd like to welcome y'all to Yankee Panky.
Hello, Yankee Panky.
We're going to be meeting some crazy critters.
Touch the finger.
Racy rednecks.
Makes you feel proud.
And how about these all-American gals? It's a little sassy, a little sexy. I'd love you to join me. The new series, Yankee Panky, starts next Sunday at 10 on Sky One.
In 1984, 2 computer scientists envisioned the impossible, a seamless network of computer networks. They invented the router, and Cisco Systems was born. Out of
41 yards through 3 quarters, the all-time passing yardage mark in one game was 357. Joe Montana for the 49ers against the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 23. A masterly performance from Cool Hand Joe on that occasion to lead the 49ers, but that record just 16 yards from being tied by Kurt Warner. And he'll be looking for some more here. The rollout, and it's incomplete. Nice. 2nd down and 10.
It's third down right now, Nick, and this is an important down for the Rams. You know, after that good field position, they got the stop on Marshall Faulk, the incomplete. This Tennessee Titan defense has kept them in games. Why they've been able to win 7 games in a row coming into this big game. This is one of the biggest plays of the game right here, Nick. Right now, you can feel this crowd. It's a Tennessee crowd. You can feel them getting into it if they can stop them on this play.
It's a team that's thrived on adversity in the last few years, on and off the field. 3rd and long, and movement, no, in fact, it's Orlando Pace working against Kenny Holmes.
That's the noise, Nick. That's the noise that just started getting generated here. Orlando Pace thought it was first down. He couldn't hear the play. He left early, puts them in a little deeper hole, 3rd and 16.
Well, absolutely no cause for panic here for the Rams. They're still in good shape, but 3rd and 16, if Tennessee can hold them here, well, the game is still very much alive. Just a 10-point ball game here in the 4th. Warner drops. The rush comes from the outside, and Warner's put it up in the air, looking in the direction of Holt. Couldn't get him that time. Holt had got past Dane and Sidney, but it fell incomplete, and the punting unit comes on for St. Louis, and the cheers from the Tennessee fans. They're on their feet here at the Georgia Dome.
There's been a change of momentum. Big Mo right now is on the Titans side, and this is a very dangerous punt returner, Derek Mason. And you know that in this game, with the momentum swinging, he wants to make a big play.
Mike Horan, whose contribution was to miss a snap, will kick it away.
He's going to have a chance to return this ball.
And Mason watches and watches and takes it at his own 22 and runs into trouble. Great special teams coverage there from the St. Louis Rams. Tony Horn was the first guy down there and just held him up. Frank Gantz's team, special teams, coming up big time again, but it's Tennessee who have the ball when we return.
So they're staying with what got them here, Nick, and what works for them. The important thing right now, the defense has done their job. They got the ball back to the offense. And now this man, who seems so poised at only age 26, to lead him to another score.
Eddie George looking to try and find the hole and blasts his way through for 7 yards, and that's a terrific effort on first and 10. Eddie George starting to build up a head of steam here.
Well, you can see it in Eddie George's eyes all day long. We saw him out on the pitch way before the game warming up, and he just looked like he had that look in his eye, like he wants to be the man today. In order to be the man, he has to have the ball.
They've given him 6 yards on the carry. 2nd and 4. Bird and Dyson are the receivers, but they're going with George again, and George gets nothing doing on this occasion. The play read all the way by Grant Wistrom, the second-year man who's had a terrific season, but a quiet game here.
He's had a great season. He was their #1 draft pick from Nebraska last year, Nick. He was a little bit undersized. He gained a little bit of weight in the offseason, and he's kept it on. He stayed strong this year, and his strength is he's got great speed. He's got a great motor. He never stops chasing after a play.
And a loss of 2 yards on the play. This Rams defense isn't giving it up, so now the pressure comes on Tennessee's offense. 3rd and 6. They need to keep this drive alive. And McNair will work from the shotgun. Has some time.
Wow.
And he has Kevin Dyson. There is a flag down on the field. It's a 9-yard gain and a first down if it stands up.
It might be offensive, a pick by the Tennessee Titans. Todd Light was offsides. The all-pro cornerback lined up offsides.
I got some encouraging news, by the way, Brian. We've just heard that Blaine Bishop is getting his neck x-rayed as we just take another look at this play, but I think Blaine Bishop is more important than this play right now. He is moving.
Good.
So a sigh of relief there. Obviously early days. We will try and keep you posted on that one if we can. Dyson wide left, Bird wide right, George in the backfield. 2 tight ends for Tennessee. First down. The Rams show blitz. And George has got a hole.
He's got a seam.
Just dragged down from behind by Mike Jones, who did a terrific job. Otherwise, George is still running.
And Nick, is he starting to heat up right now?
He is.
He is
building it up.
Those holes right now. Look at those eyes. Those big eyes that all good running backs have. Because when they see daylight, when they see that hole, well, they want to explode through it.
Steve McNair saying Kurt Warner's not the only guy to put himself in the record book today. Eddie George now, 20 carries for 73 yards. Not great numbers, but he keeps on chipping away, and he's getting stronger here in the 4th. Lorenzo Neal's in the backfield to block for him, and look at that block as well as George bounces close to first down yardage. He'll be just shy by a yard.
And remember, Nick, you know, this Rams defense hasn't given up 80 yards to a running back all year. So Eddie George right now, you can see, like, he just wants that ball. You know, he's one of those guys, he's like a locomotive. The more steam he gets, the more carry he gets, the better feel he has for the game and where those holes are.
I tell you, there's 1 or 2 Rams defensive players breathing pretty hard down there. 3rd and short. They have 3 tight ends and a blocking back in there. And they give to Eddie George, who spins away from tacklers, and he's going to be right at the first down marker. From where they've spotted that, it looks like they're going to move the chains.
Yeah, I think so, Nick. It's going to take a really bad spot on the officials not to give him this first down. Remember, Eddie George is about 240 pounds. You know, when he gets that head of steam going, he usually lands forward. Ooh, that wasn't a great spot, Nick. That's right on the line.
It really wasn't, was it? I thought a second effort had pushed him comfortably past. Billy Jenkins was there to make the stop, but they're going to measure that. They're going to bring this out.
Boy, he had to get over the 44-yard line, Nick, to get a first down.
And it's going to be real tight. That's a terrible spot, and it's
there it
short.
Is.
Now what do you do?
Oof. Well, I
think there's no. It's a no-brainer, surely.
Yeah, I think right now, in a Super Bowl, this is it right here. I mean, if the Rams...
You're not coming back next week.
No, no. This is called sudden death. And Steve McNair, I think it's right now, this is a quarterback sneak. He's 230 pounds. Maybe stick it right behind his right guard.
They need just 3 or 4 inches here to keep this alive. They're trying to draw him offside.
They're going to end up punting it, Nick.
Well, I don't understand that. No, they're not. McNair went for it. He didn't need much. And now it's up to the officials, and goodness knows how you're ever going to sort that out. Now, from where that official has just run in, that's a first down. You saw the guy come in from the top of the screen. He was ahead of the yellow line. Well, but we saw him get a bad spot last time, didn't we?
Yeah, they tried to draw him off sides. They had to get over the 44-yard line, Nick.
Well, a timeout is on the field, and the chains are coming out again. I'll be amazed if they haven't got this.
Nick, how many times do we say over the course of a season of game, it's a game of inches? And that's what this play is going to come down to. This is going to be a first down.
Said Brian Baldinger confidently, and it is. And I think justice was done there.
Well, you know, look, you don't get this far without taking chances. This team was 5 for 10 this year on 4th down conversions. So they did take some chances on 4th down. Said they'd stick it behind the right guard. That's McNair's second effort right there, Nick. I think he was stopped the first time, and maybe Lorenzo Neal pushing him in the back helped him get that first down. Nevertheless, they hang on to the football. It's first down.